Awesome. We are on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gunjan, for taking the time. I know you have been traveling, you had other commitments, you are pretty occupied with work, but still, thank you so much for being here.
I'm honored to be here, Akshay.
Awesome. Uh, so, Gunjan, I mean, very, very curious question to start off with. I read it on your LinkedIn profile, right?
Mm,
On your summary that you have added, some diverse experiences like you've been into business development, you've been into marketing, recruitment finally, right?
right.
um, and you also mentioned that you are still finding that dream job, right? That
Mm,
we all are looking for, including myself, right? We It is an extremely privilege to find something that you actually love, right?
right.
So my question for you is,
Mm,
have you found it yet? Or um, that's the first question. Have you found it yet?
mm-hmm.
And in either case, how can someone go about it? How can people like you and me find uh, our dream job? What's your take on it? So those are the two kind of follow-up questions. Yeah,
Okay. Interesting question, though. Second, I will try to be as transparent and clear as possible. I wouldn't want to
of course.
sugarcoat any answers here. So
Nope.
basically, when I started looking out for job opportunities, there were times that I enjoyed the work that I was doing, but then when it comes to the companies that I was working for, I could not find myself fitting in or maybe having a good time. So it is always confusing for one to understand if they are happy, if they're unhappy with the company that they're working for, or if they're unhappy with the kind of role that they're supporting. So
Mm.
finding a dream job is not just about the work that you like, it is also about the environment that you provided, and about the company, how it is treating you, how
Mm.
are you, how are you financially treated, and how are the growth
Correct.
perspectives. So there were companies that treated people very nice in my personal experience, but then when it comes to the further growth opportunities, I couldn't see myself moving ahead or taking next steps because there were no steps
Mm.
ahead. It was a monotonous opportunity, very convenient, very comfortable. Everybody was very happy doing that, but then when you don't see anything ahead of you, you feel like somewhere down you are pulling yourself down. So there is
Correct.
no way of being stagnant in a job, so what my take on this is, I recommend everybody to always try new things, because when I was into recruitment, I started my career with it. I loved doing it, but then the organizations that I was supporting, I couldn't fit myself in or find myself in a comfortable position. So that made me feel like I was not right for recruitment, at the end of the day.
Correct.
So moving ahead, I tried different, industries. I targeted different roles. I went into content, I went into marketing, business development to understand what my top skills are and then match them with the right positions available in the market, and always
Perfect.
go for a fusion role to understand if you can take multiple responsibilities, or if there is a role out there for you, or if you have to create one, because these days companies are not just hiring for certain roles in their companies. They are allowing people to explore their experience, explore their skills, and find a fusion role for themselves. So that again is a recommendation. If you are trying to find your ideal role, don't try to fit in all the roles that are given on a job board. Try to see what skills you possess, and if you can find a company that is comfortable making some adjustments here and there for you to help you, get that particular role. So I think happiness always would change for you. You would someday, you would want to derive the job satisfaction. One day you would feel like, okay, I want to be more financially independent out of myself. So that you will have different goals moving ahead, but then what my concern is, always look out for some things that you require out of an organization, and before questioning your skill set, or before questioning if you are good for the company, you should see if the company is good enough for you, so that you can have a good experience
Mm.
and learn and grow. So yeah, that's it.
That totally makes sense, Gunjan, and I can totally relate to that because one of the primary reasons why I left my first BPO job,
Mm.
and I could relate very well. It was like a government job, sarkari naukri jaisa tha, and like everything comfortable. I finished my work, uh, in 2 hours. I would sit
Mhm.
in cafeteria, chill, uh,
Mm.
proper typical sarkari naukri, ठीक है? So yeah, I come and I took that kind of risk to move out of that zone and
Mm.
do something that it's again a perspective, and I could not settle into. Some people could, and I totally respect their perspectives.
Right.
But yeah, there are two type of people always.
Right.
So totally agree with that. And another follow up question to that is, out of all of that you mentioned, ठीक है कि growth हो गया, financial हो गया, कल्चरल फिट हो गया,
Mm.
तुम्हारे लिए क्या चीज प्राइमरीली वर्कआउट नहीं किया?
Um,
And yeah, for me personally, it was I've switched a lot of jobs, and the primary reason has been culture and leadership, I would say. So
I
for
think
you,
we
what
are having the same opinion here, honestly, because culture
okay,
matters the most, because if you are in an organization, you're spending 9 to 10 hours with people around yourselves, you have to have a positive or at least a basic environment where you can feel um, involved and happy or at least satisfied to the basic level. But even if they could pay you twice or thrice of what you were receiving from your previous organization, but if your mental health is not in the right place, you cannot evolve or be happy the least. And I've seen so many people who make a lot of money, who have great careers, but because of the kind of environment that they are in, the kind of people that they are surrounded with, at the end of the day, they are not able to grow or maybe survive. In a lot of situations, they turn out to be the corporate slaves, the term that we usually use out there in the market. They turn out to be that they are making money, they are living lives, but then it does not really make them feel like it is worth it, or maybe it is making me happy. So I think culture is a very important part to, if I'm searching for a job, or if I'm in my current opportunity, one thing I assess my organization is through culture.
awesome, love it. We'll come back to that, your current organization, but I think we have answered the second question, key, how can people go about it? How can people look for their dream
Mhm.
job and possibly find one?
Right.
um but I'll still like to come back to the first question. Have you found yours? uh,
At multiple places, yes, I have found myself in a position where I can say that, okay, this is my dream job. But then, as I told you, the goals change every next day. Today, you can
exactly.
ask for something, you get it, and the next day, you want more. So, that is how a person is.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
I feel
I
like,
was
yes, in this
expecting.
point of time, I feel like, yes, I'm in my dream job. I'm very happy. I have a work-life balance. I have people who support me. The work is interesting, and it is something that aligns with my skills, my interests. So yes, I'm very happy today. But I think I wouldn't want to restrict myself to one goal. I would always want to move ahead. So that is again a
I
thing.
think we align on a lot of things because ये कहीं ना कहीं expected था, and there's no black and white answer. It's always gray.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I often find myself in this place where I, at some
Mhm.
point of time, ऐसा लगता है कि this is it, boss. And
Yeah.
then after that, after some time, it changes. And again, it reminds me of the quote, change is the only constant, and it
Exactly.
indeed is true with humans. So uh, yeah, there is no black and white answer. I
Yeah.
totally agree with you. Perfect, perfect. And sometimes I also wonder that there is no such thing as dream job. um, it's always it always comes into phases, or maybe there is, but at least in my case, I haven't found it. So yeah,
Mhm.
perfect, perfect. So,
Right.
okay, so that was a great start. Looking back at your experiences, Kunjan, um, you you have worked with some of the top firms, and a lot of people might have questions regarding this. um, how did you end up working with companies like Google and Randstad?
So now I feel like, when people ask me this question, I personally don't feel like it was that difficult. The way we have
Okay,
set standards for people out there, that okay, this is a big company, you will have to work a lot, or maybe you need a lot to be a part of them. But it's not that.
exactly.
The companies that we're talking about have so much of manpower that they require people every next day. and they hire people every next day. So there is no limit to what they're hiring. So the ratio, if you see, of people getting hired is more in organizations like Randstad or Google, because these people are always looking out for manpower. So your
Wow.
possibility
Okay.
of landing into a big company is more than landing into a startup, because their hiring
Wow.
ratio is lesser. Just like, if you talk about the government
Yes.
opportunities, the jobs that we see in the market, the ratio of people getting selected is lesser than the people that are available in the market. So eventually people, think that this is something difficult to pursue. But then with MNCs, I always feel like if you have the right mindset, if you know what you want, if you know what they want, and if you can match that, you can always land up with these opportunities. So it is not as difficult as we perceive it. We feel like, okay, these are big brands, so they would want something more than what I have. But then that is underestimation, not,
Correct.
yeah, on the company
It's
side.
a very good way of looking at it, and it actually is, because we always think that it's Google, it's
Hmm.
Microsoft, but we also do not see that how many people they hire on a daily basis.
Exactly.
It is way more difficult to get into a startup, like a
Hmm.
10-15 people organization,
Exactly.
recently raised funds. So yeah, awesome. So okay, it is relatively easy. um, how can people, you know so first of all, how did
Hmm.
you end up there, like
Hmm.
backstory of
Okay.
you landing into one of these top firms, and then
Mhm.
how can people do that.
Okay. So I always believe that in today's time, if you want a job, you cannot restrict yourself to the job boards out there, because every person would be going to the job boards. You have to find ways where you
Correct.
can stand out, or maybe can be counted as one of the people who went for the next step. So for me, the next step is always references, because today your market value is all about networking. If you network with 100 people, and if they are the right resources, you do not need a job board to get a job, according to me. So if you know how to network, if you know how to connect with the people that are recruiting, personally, how I landed the job with Randstad was through a reference. I had a friend who was working there. I was in touch with him. I told him that, okay, I'm looking out for a job change, and he referred me to the opportunity. So if you go through the normal process, this is true and also sad, that if you go through a normal process, it takes a lot more of time to get in touch with the recruiter, because there are thousands of applications coming in, be it Google, be it Randstad. We get thousands of people approaching us on everyday basis. So every person cannot be contacted, or maybe can be served the purpose there. So what I personally tell people is to always go for references, or try to network with people who are hiring, so that you can easily approach people, get highlighted, and move ahead with the opportunity, rather than waiting for the longer run. So networking and references has been a very important part of my journey. And I also recommend the same to the people. You have to have a very good resume. It should have the right keywords, so that the people who you are approaching can find you an apt fit. Because if I am a recruiter, I receive thousands of applications every day. But if your resume stands out to me, I would prefer reaching out to you over the rest of the candidates whose resume weren't clear, or maybe did not have the apt information that I'm hiring for. So if you
Correct.
are right, and if you have the right experience, and if you know how to show it, and if you know how to connect with the right person out there, you can easily get into any of these opportunities.
Awesome. um, Referrals and networking, right,
Mm-hmm.
is what you would suggest
Yeah.
now. Most of the freshers, especially freshers and
Mm-hmm.
early working professionals, they find it extremely difficult to reach out to people.
Mm-hmm.
uh, like they don't know how to reach out, and how to find out their emails, or even on LinkedIn how to draft a message. I, being coming from a sales guy, I understand what works, what does not.
Yeah.
But what are some of the key recommendations that you would give as a recruiter, if somebody if a candidate would reach out to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
How would you want that candidate to reach out to you in, and what would make you respond to that candidate, like just a blueprint of would it be email, Twitter, LinkedIn, and what kind of messaging would you prefer?
Okay. So I personally am very active on LinkedIn, because it is the platform that I use to recruit people. So I can be more available on LinkedIn than on emails personally. And when somebody approaches me, I like to see a message that is not repetitive, because everybody thinks that if you have a template handy, you can send it to 1,000 people and you can get responses from 10. But what I personally think is, if you write a personalized message to a person, and if you
Correct.
send it to 20 people, I can bet that you can receive responses from 5 of them, because everybody out there, all of the recruiters personally I know, are very bored of reading the same templates again and again. That okay, this person has the same template, it has the same information, it does not help me. But then if the person has read my job description, like okay, Gunjan needs a software engineer who has particularly worked on this particular skill, and if the person writes me a message that, hi Gunjan, I read this post of yours, and I could see that you want somebody who needs this particular skill in the resume, and I have 2 years of experience into it, and I have worked with similar firms like yours, and I carry similar experience. So that would be very attractive in the moment, that okay, I would like to talk to the person at least, that okay, he has that experience and he has what I need. So if that is the connect that forms, and then I would like
Hmm.
to approach the person rather than him approaching me or following up with me. So that is the key: customizing the conversation, keeping it crisp, short, and relatable to the other person. Second, the resume. A lot of people think that a resume is good when you copy it from a website, but I think writing your own resume can do wonders, because if you write your own resume, you exactly can put down whatever skills you have, and the format that you choose is important. If you have a very formal, sharp format, that also shows that okay, you are a professional, you are holding the right experience. If you have a very shabby resume which is copied from somewhere, the person already knows that okay, the person might not be serious about the opportunity, because they are sending me a resume which is very shabby. So this also shows an impression to the recruiters. Secondly, the resume should have the right keywords. It cannot be as generic. So now you and I, we have been in the industry, so when we started, our resumes were not as good as they are right now. So we used to use certain summaries which are very generic, that you are passionate, you are an overachiever, but these keywords do not help you find the job that you are looking for. This would help
Correct.
a person find a job. So it is not very apt, and it is not something that you can find your job with. So if you want to find your job, you have to add your skills, you have to write your interests, so it has to be as customizable, as personalized as possible. So that is one thing. Third, study the companies that you are trying to target and see the descriptions, see the talk to people who are working on the same level, or maybe who are also freshers, so that you can try to talk to them on a basic level, and try to understand what they carry, what experience they carry, or how did they land
Exactly.
into the opportunities. So you can use those skills and add it in your resume to have a higher SEO, and at least have the first connect with the company, because it all starts with the first connect. Akshay, according to me, if you are able to land that first connect with the person, there are at least the chances increase of getting into the organization, right? So I always
Very
believe
true.
the least you should try for is getting the first point of contact, the first conversation starting, because once you get that, there are very high chances that you can land an opportunity with the company.
I totally agree with you, Gunjan. I personally got a reference. I personally got referred to Microsoft for
Mm-hmm.
from an international individual. I when I was working previously with my
Mm-hmm.
organization, with as a sales guy, right? So I came across. I was selling, actually. I was selling my product to him, and in a conversation, I asked him if he can refer me to this open role that I just discovered.
Mm-hmm.
He was very happy to do that. He looked at my resume and he found it interesting. He did referred me from onshore to here to the Indian team, and but it did not work out. So, uh, but yeah, it does work. It does
Yeah,
work,
the trick
and
works. Yeah,
it does work. And the second thing I also believe is people hesitate asking. Uh,
exactly.
you cannot get anything without asking. It's something that I believe. So मांगोगे तो ही मिलेगा, नहीं तो कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. So
Exactly.
you have to ask. That's another thing. Okay. One very interesting question is, I when I was reaching out to people on LinkedIn, when I was actively searching for jobs, I used video, right? So you said personalization, and from there,
Mhm.
uh, I can I got this instantly. uh, it took me to when I was actively looking for job,
Mm-hmm.
I used to do is I used to record personalized video to every individual that I found interesting, and uh, that are actively hiring for a very
Mm-hmm.
interesting opportunity, right? I would shoot an individual video to every single person and send it over um, across LinkedIn. Would
Mm-hmm.
you prefer something like that, like if a candidate shoots you a personalized video
Mm-hmm.
with your name and more relevant information? How
Mm-hmm.
powerful would that be, uh, you know apart from just sending out like a
Mm-hmm.
connection or invite?
It would be very interesting, honestly, because you do not receive videos of candidates every day mentioning your name and asking for an opportunity to work with your
Exactly.
company. So that is very powerful. It's a power move, I would say. And also unique because I have not heard of people doing this very often. So, as I told
Yes.
you, there are a lot of people wanting the same opportunity as yours. So, if you want to stand out, you'll have to do something. So, this is one of the some things that people can do. And
Correct.
a lot of people might find it a little alerting or alarming because receiving a video like this is not something that they're used to every day. But then to some people it might be over impressive. They would feel like, okay, this person is actually interested and they're putting efforts to just reach out to me. So personally I would love to connect with a person who is that passionate and who would want to, who is going to an extent to apply with the organization that I'm working for. So it shows passion in some ways. So yes, I would like to interview a person or at least reach out to them to understand how, if I can help them with anything.
Awesome. Perfect. So video works, right?
Video works.
That's that's uh, that's a good conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
um, so coming back to the questions that I have, um, how can someone who is starting out in the recruitment field, right,
Mm-hmm.
uh, get themselves to be placed at Google or companies like Randstad, right? What is kind of, I would not say a blueprint because
Mm-hmm.
there isn't one, but what are some of the things that you know what are some of the mistakes that you made, and we can learn from those kind of mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which can help uh, people to get themselves placed into such kind of organizations. What are some ways, I would say, recommendations, not blueprint, but what are some recommendations that you would suggest to people?
Mm-hmm. So one of my biggest mistakes I can highlight here is that I never understood that when you are going for an industry, it has deeper branches. You don't have to just stick with what you are given. So in my experience, when I was involved with multiple organizations, even into recruitment, there are multiple branches that you can go for. It can be IT recruitment, it can be non-IT. You can be a part of the operations side, the HR ops, or if you can be a part of the onboarding part. So there are multiple branches to every field, I say. So when you're starting as a fresher, you wouldn't know what you want to go for. But then I suggest people trying all the parts, or maybe having some experience in all the parts, because not every organization has departments. So for say, if I'm very good at IT recruitment, and the next organization that I'm targeting is hiring for HRs particularly, they are not hiring for
Mm,
somebody who is restricted to recruitment. So in that ways you can lose opportunities or maybe restrict yourself from growth. So what I suggest is you have to understand the industry that you're planning to go in, and you have to see what branches are available, where can you start with, what is the first step that you can take, and what is something that you're good at, and what is something that the industry requires, or or the market is demanding. So I was into non-IT recruitment for a very long time, and I thought this is something that is good because my company needed it. But then when I wanted to switch careers, I saw that the market does not require particularly non-IT recruiters anymore, because the IT has taken over the world. So I had to take some trainings. I had to start from a level down to get where I could have been if I knew what the market needs. So you have to always focus on what the market requires, and then you have to go for it. So always choosing the right industry, always knowing that what is in your plate, how can you perceive more knowledge about it, and always refer to people who already are in the industry. Like if I did a mistake here, is what that I did not connect with people who have 4, 5, or 6 years of experience in recruitment to understand where can I go or what path can I take. And believe me, Akshay, people out there are very helpful. If you reach out to somebody,
Yes,
they would love to help you with the things that they could not receive when they started their career. And platforms like LinkedIn, and there are other platforms that you can use where you can reach out to people, and they would be very very happy to help you with the information that they could not receive in their time. So uh, I mean, it goes long ways.
I totally agree, Gunjan. I mean, एक चीज अगर मैंने सीखी है कि people are very generous. You
Yeah.
we really underestimate कि
Mm-hmm.
उसको कैसा लगेगा if I ask this, if I shoot a direct DM or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have shot emails to uh, people that I could not even imagine talking to, and they have responded me. And people are so generous. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you just need to ask politely and in a
Exactly.
proper way.
Mm-hmm.
अगर if even if they're not able to help you directly, they'll happily redirect you to somebody who can, right?
Exactly.
So always ask. That's something that I
Mm-hmm.
have learned.
Yeah.
Awesome. So a lot of people are joining, Gunjan, because
Mm-hmm.
we asked them to at 4:30. But thank
Mm-hmm.
you so much, guys, for joining in. I just have a couple more questions from my side, and then we will open up the mics for you so that you can ask your set of question. um, more people. Okay. Okay, let's continue, Gunjan.
Sure.
So, how is it? Uh, you have worked with startups like Cut Short. You have, I mean, not startup, but an early stage
Mm-hmm.
company, not a huge MNC, and
Mm-hmm.
you have also worked for huge MNCs like Google and Randstad, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the major difference do you find working, and the pros and the cons of
Mm-hmm.
working with both kind of companies? I have personally worked with large companies and startups.
Mm-hmm.
I personally prefer and love working with early stage companies
Mm-hmm.
because of several reasons. But then again, I would love to know your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
कैसा लगता है, like being coming from companies like working for companies like Google? People might ask you, you work at Google, how do you feel? Like, what's the cultural differences and how
Mm-hmm.
does it make you feel? Two questions.
So I would not go with you in this particular question because I prefer
Awesome.
MNCs over startups. Now, this could be my a personal experience, but what I feel is that
Yep.
if you are looking out for that thrill, that okay, I would like to develop something from the start or be a part of something which is
Yep.
starting from scratch. If you have that kind of passion to put, early stage startups are really great. But then people underestimate MNCs in this particular part because they think that if they are a part of the MNCs, they wouldn't be able to explore their limits. But then I deny to it because I feel like people can explore the opportunities equally into startups as well as the MNCs, because MNCs have internal job postings. You can always
Yes.
change departments. You can always go for a higher level to explore your skills. So I feel like they both are equally fruitful. But then when it comes to early age startups, it is more flexible, and you can choose to be a part of whatever and however without thinking twice, because the team is small, the goal is big, and to reach there they
Yes.
need manpower to work in multiple ways. So they always prefer people who are multitasking or can do 10 things. But then that is also very overwhelming according to me, because once you are a
Yep.
part of the early age startup, you wouldn't have that kind of rest mentally where you can feel like okay, this is the end of the day for me, because when you're a
Exactly.
part of a startup, there is no end of the day. You always work and you always have things in the back of your head. So if you are somebody who is wanting that thrill in your career, an early stage startup might work. But then when it comes to the MNCs, you always have the right picture in head that okay, this is what I have, this is what I have to work on, and this is how I can grow. So that is an organized way of growing according to me. Now, cons for MNCs is that yes, you do not find yourself doing 10 things in a day. So if you are into photography and if the startup needs a photographer for the weekend, you would be happy to help because you are exploring your hobbies there. But then if you are also into photography and your company is asking you for it, you might also feel like, okay, I don't want to spend my weekend working for a company, I would want it for myself. So the work life balance there misses out. So in an MNC you don't
Yes,
have the problems there. And also financially, I mean, if you think practically about the opportunity, there are a lot of times that the startups that have started fail in a year. That is also proven when you make an analysis. So there is you don't find it very reliable of a career opportunity at times. So you have
correct.
to also check if the startup that you're going for is funded, has the right amount of people that it should. And you should always talk about these things open and out, because you shouldn't think that, okay, if I ask if the company has a future and if I have a future in the company, where would I be if the company has some downfalls. These questions are important to us, and people love to hear these kind of questions. So if you are in an early startup and if you're planning to be a part of it, always see the financial aspects, because you also as an individual have certain responsibilities. So you should always see if that opportunity
Correct.
would be more fruitful to you or not. So you should always compare the pros and cons before going for either early age startups or going for the MNCs.
Awesome. Perfect. Great. Thanks a lot, Gunjan. Going back to something that I was, as we have a lot of people, I would,
Mm-hmm.
like to deliver some more value to them. Um, how can someone, like, the majority of questions that I receive on a regular basis is that, I'm not getting my application through. I cannot get my application through. Like
Mm-hmm.
even at companies lesser, you know, like mid or early stage companies, right? They
Mm-hmm.
find it difficult to get their applications in, and when they think
Mm-hmm.
about applying at Google, Microsoft, or Mang companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
They they instantly get demotivated कि भाई यहाँ तो नहीं हो पाएगा, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what are the steps, like what are the things that people should keep in mind while building a strong, and that can build them a strong application, right? At
Mm-hmm.
least get them shortlisted, right? बाकी फिर interview पे होता है, and there are a lot of things, right? But the first step, it's always hard to go from 0 to 1. what
Mm-hmm.
what suggestions and what tips or recommendations would you give to people
Mm-hmm.
to build a strong resume, build a strong application, yeah, for companies
So,
like mag companies, I would say.
uh, so I have a very smart insight to share with you, which I've recently discovered.
Awesome.
So you are probably applying for the wrong position. So now this might sound like, okay, I know where I'm applying, but no, you don't, because for a company which has 200 to 500 people, okay, they're hiring for developers and there are three positions available for the developers. They apply to three of them. They get a response for one of them. But then with companies including fan companies or maybe Amazon or Flipkart, they're hiring for thousands of roles, and you have to actually
Exactly.
give time to see where you fit in. Because I find a lot of people who are very talented, but they end up applying in the roles that they are not a good fit for. And the recruiters there, they have thousands of applications incoming. They would either reject you basis the description that they are given or select you. They cannot refer you to the next person every time, because they are also having certain responsibilities on head. So if you are getting
Correct.
rejected in certain companies, you should try finding the right position for yourself. You should see that, okay, if they require 2 to 3 years of experience, and if you have 7 to 8 years of experience, you probably are overqualified as well. So it is not always about underqualified. It is also about
Mm,
somebody being overqualified for the position. So always
right.
go to the company pages, always go to the job pages, and try to find the exact right opportunity for you. And once you have that in hand, always reach out to people, because once you are a right fit, there are very less chances that you would not receive responses from the recruiter. Because as recruiters,
Mm,
it would be easier for us to finding people who are reaching out to us and are the right fit. So if you are doing that and if you are approaching somebody, there is a very high chance that you would receive a response, because you are
awesome.
solving their problem, not your own. So in a way, you are helping them.
Exactly, exactly. Now let's just be there for a moment. uh, सिर्फ अगर अपने Amazon के पेज पे दिखते हैं, like we
Mm-hmm.
if we go ahead and click on Amazon's career page, there are thousands of listings, and even when I tried applying at Google,
Mm-hmm.
Amazon or Microsoft, I got confused
Mm-hmm.
because इतने सारे positions होते हैं, like small minute changes. So how do people, find like that exact right opportunity for themselves? It kind of seems impossible. I literally went on the Amazon page and careers page, and then uh, control W'd it, right?
Mhm.
Because I could not figure out what opportunity would be the right fit for me.
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, how can we like
Mhm.
find that right opportunity? Is it the job description? What is it?
Mhm. So yes, there is a little manual work there. I agree with that. But then using the
Okay.
filters that the page has given, because a lot of people these days are using better, feasible options for the candidates as well to find the right opportunity. So there are a lot of filters you can use to narrow down your search to from 1,000 to 100 to 100 to 20. So it will be easier for you to at least go through the 20 positions at once rather than going for 1,000 or 100. So always using the filters. Second, what I personally recommend is you can go on LinkedIn and search for people who are working for certain roles or possess certain skills.
Hmm.
So you can create a search that, okay, Microsoft software engineer backend, and whatever sub parts that you are working for, you can search that. So whoever is working on that particular position, or maybe you find profiles which are matching from what you are doing right now, either you can reach out to them to understand what positions are they working for, so that you can directly apply on those positions and get going. And if not, you can use their titles, the titles that they are using in their resume, search it on the website so that you can directly find the positions handy. So you do not have to manually go through everything. You can always find these tricks working for you. So I again recommend going and reaching out to the people, because they can give you the insights that the website cannot, because there is a personal touch to it or human touch
Perfect.
to it. So always reach out to people who are working in similar positions. Try searching them online and then reaching out to them, so that you know what you are targeting and how you can be where they are right now.
Perfect. Perfect. That makes a lot of sense. Awesome, Gunjan. I mean, I have a lot more questions for you. I expected this to be a little longer, but we have a lot of people waiting, and this is all about delivering value to them. So
Mhm.
let's just switch instantly to a Q&A round, and let's ask people if they have any questions. If they don't, I'll put in my questions in between. But
So,
yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining in. If anybody has any questions for Gunjan, again, to give you a little bit of background, uh, me and Gunjan goes way back, not long way back, but we go way back. We have worked with uh, on a mutual project, and we know each other since then. uh, Gunjan is super talented, super insightful. She has worked with some of the top firms like Google, Randstad, Cut Short. You might have heard of it. um, but she is a seasoned recruitment professional, and she can, if you ask her right questions, she can definitely give you much more value, right? And help you find your way to your dream job. Feel free to shoot your questions at Gunjan. Try to make it relevant, and uh, so yeah, it will be easier for Gunjan to answer. Okay, Gaurav, you have raised the hand, so yeah, please.
Good evening, ma'am. Am I audible?
yes, hi Gaurav, how are you?
Yes, ma'am. I'm fine. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good.
Ma'am, my question is regarding that. Actually, I belong from a tier 3 college in India. So, what should I prefer more? Like, should I do DSA questions more, or should I focus more on development skills like backend development or app development, or something like that to get placed in a top MNC so that I can build my career on that? So, it will be helpful that if you can give the
Mhm.
right decision at the moment.
Okay. So Gaurav, I wanted to ask, if you are you starting your career or do you hold any experience?
No, ma'am, I'm a fresher and I will be passing out in the year 2024. I am currently in the third year of engineering and I'm from CSE department as well.
That's great. So now, Gaurav, you can always choose to work around, so DSA is one of the processes I would like to explain, Akshay, and everybody here. So DSA is one of the important aspects when you're applying with a FANG company. You have to have a good hold onto data structures and algorithms so that you can clear the interview process with the organization. So it is helpful then. So Gaurav, what I would personally suggest you is going ahead with the skills that you are interested in. Now you can go ahead as a backend developer or a front end developer, or if you want to get into development at all, development is always good to go into, but then you have to assess your profile of what you're good at and what you're interested in, because you have a lot of options handy. The IT industry is full of opportunities, so if you want to land up into a fan company, you have to start working from now. You'll have to maybe do some personal projects, or maybe you can work around with your friends to develop something on your own, which can help you in showcasing a resume which is handful. Because as a fresher, your resume is not very full, and it does not have a lot of information that can help the other person evaluate you. So doing some projects here and there, or learning skills, doing certifications, that highlights your resume and puts it on the top and ahead of the other people that you are in touch with or you are studying with. So always try to add some accomplishments here and there. Second, what I would suggest is going for platforms like Thakor Rank, and certain platforms around that, lead code, so you can start building a rank of your own in on those platforms. So when you're sending your resume to me for say, and I'm hiring for freshers, and if I can see that okay, you are solving medium level or high level questions already, so that would be an impressive aspect for me, that okay, this person knows lead code, he knows data structures and algorithm, he knows how to solve questions. So if I go for him, I would feel more confident as a recruiter. So try to build your ranks on multiple platforms so that you can showcase, because as a fresher, the major problem a person faces is showcasing that they are talented or showcasing that they have the skill. So you should always find platforms to showcase that you are having the right skill or right experience to go ahead.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for the answer, and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Gaurav.
Thanks, Gaurav. Did that answer your question, or do you have any follow-up questions to that?
No, that's all.
Perfect, perfect. Thanks, man. Yes, Akshay, you raised your hand. Uh, Akshay also joined, in the previous sessions. I guess Akshay has also worked with Amazon. I'm not sure. I cannot remember, but yes, Akshay, please go ahead.
Uh, yeah, good evening. So I think uh, Akshay has asked a lot of questions that I actually wanted to ask. I need to set a baseline. I think most of the questions are answered. And yes, as you mentioned, I was working with Amazon up until December, and I recently moved out. So because I wanted to make a switch, that I was working in operations, and so I'm looking to move into the tech side of things. And I tried to move internally, but I guess at least in Amazon they had some restrictions for that in terms of having a relevant degree, which I did not have. So I think at least for me personally, in my situation, I'd like to ask, like, how does one justify the move, right? Because I've been with Amazon for almost 4 years, and I graduated in 2017. So I think come June this year, right, it'll be 6 years. So at this point in the career, right, transitioning to a entirely different field. So how does one justify that? And it is my personal feeling that perhaps startups are more, open to people transitioning and taking them in. And I do agree that big companies are also fairly open to it, but I want to know what are the differences between the two,
Okay.
how they look at the candidates and how they evaluate them.
That's a great question. Yeah, Gunjan,
Yeah,
go
that
ahead.
is a very nice question, Akshay. So, what I personally feel is that if you are wanting to shift from one field to another, can you give me an example, like what were you working into and what do you want to get into, so that I can help you with the relevant answer here?
Okay, so I was mostly working on, let's say, analysis and using tools like Excel, SQL, sort of that. Since you know that Amazon is fairly large, they have their own tools. I was
Mhm.
working on maintaining and analyzing data of products that were sold on the Indian marketplace.
Okay, so I couldn't hear your voice very completely, but you were into analysis side of
Yeah,
the.
I was basically analyzing data of products that are sold in the Indian e-commerce marketplace of
Mhm.
Amazon.
Okay. And what would you get into once you make a change?
I Yeah, I'm looking at moving to software development. I understand it is a fairly large role, even I'm trying to sort of figure out because
Mm-hmm.
there is front end, there is back end, and I'm thinking front end is more of my thing right now, as
Mm-hmm.
per the projects that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm even part of a boot camp, so that in the hope that it will sort of give me a direction because I don't want to at this stage mindlessly go about YouTube and get into a cycle because
I
it
know.
is not very structured.
I know. So Akshay, what my recommendation here is, first of all, you should know that, I mean, you already must know, but that this is a big change. If you are going from front end to back end, front end to full stack into development side, so these changes are entertained by MNCs. But then going from data analysis to development side, it is a big change for most of the companies out there. So I would again, I would go with your suggestion that you mentioned, that going for a startup always helps because you carry the right experience. You can help them with the analysis on the site and grow yourself as a developer uh, real time. So you wouldn't have to go through courses, because since you have been working for 5 years, going for, I mean, taking a break, taking courses again would not be the best thing to do, since you have some good experience. And taking a gap for just doing the courses would not be very efficient at your place. So what I personally would recommend is going for a startup that is also hiring for the analysis roles, and then you can approach them with an idea that you would like to be a part of the development side, and you can also support them whilst doing some courses in your free time, and so that you can make a shift but not an abrupt shift. Because if you leave your organization and if you do some courses and restart your career, a lot of people would feel a little I mean, they wouldn't be very sure about your profile, frankly speaking, because they would think if you've made a change after so long, you might make a change again. So people who are looking out for very stable employees might not find this as the best decision. So internal transitions is something that I always recommend. I can also, if you would like to connect, I can also help you connect with some companies that are looking out for people who are comfortable with fusion roles. And believe me, Akshay, fusion roles are the future. If you are into analysis and if you also want to get into development, and if you can serve the company with two qualities, they would also always prefer you than somebody who can serve them with one quality. So I can suggest you some early stage startups. Sure, I would love to connect with you. I will personally help you find some companies that might be hiring for an analysis role but are open to somebody who is multitasking or would like to explore their careers into the technical side. So we can always talk about it.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Gunjan. That means a lot.
Yeah,
This is exactly the kind of stuff that I was expecting on this call. Uh, helping people around and delivering as much value as we can. So again, thanks a lot, Gunjan, for that. I really appreciate it. Yes, Suman, you have raised your hand. Please ask your question. Oh, thanks, man. I love faces. Thanks a lot. You look amazing. You're not audible, Suman. No worries.
Sure, Sunil.
Okay. By the time Suman rejoins,
Sure.
Hardik, please go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
Hi, Hardik. I'm good. How are you?
Fine, ma'am. Actually, like my question was, if like I am fresher basically, and right now it's currently my last year of the computer science and engineering, and right now I want to like start my career with the data field, or else if it is not possible as a fresher, I think because data field is like so much demanding, and I know that it requires that much of like experience because nowadays I saw many of job postings which need almost 7 to 8 years of experience of minimum 2 years experience is required in data field, or else I would like to go for startup. So that is my question, that how can we like be in the field like we don't stuck in between. We
Mm-hmm.
need a decision that can help us to like go through the path. That is my question, like how that stucking process can be solved.
Okay. So, Hardik, not just the experienced people, a lot of companies also hire interns. So, I personally recommend if you are a fresher and if you want to explore yourself into data, rather than directly jumping into a job or course, first one, try to connect with people on LinkedIn who are already in those roles and see if that is something that interests you, or is it just a market demand for you. Because I understand data has a lot of money right now, but you should also know that if you are good at something, you would be hired, and if you are passionate about something, you would be preferred over the rest of the people who are applying. But if you are only going for the position because it has more security, you might miss out on things that you are really great at. So what I would personally recommend is having a one-on-one conversation with somebody who's into data. I think Akshay, again, one of the audiences, he has experience with data analysis. So if that is something that you're interested in, he might be your first network to connect with and talk about his career. Second, if you need help with me, I have some people who are into data analysis or certain fields around it. So if you need help around that, I can connect you with some people who can give you some insights of what is required if you want to get into the field. And second, they might also help you with some references internally to get you an internship to get started. Because since you're a fresher, getting hired on a 2 year plus opportunity is not the best thing. And if you do not prefer startups, going ahead for an internship sounds like the best plan. Meanwhile, so that you have 1 year handy, you can do certain courses into data once you have a one-on-one session with somebody who's into the same field. Once you think, okay, this is something that I want to give a shot to, you should then do some courses with the time that you have, so that when you are ready for the internships, people can see value in you when they plan to hire you as an intern or a full-time fresher. So try to build your resume, add some more skills so that people can see that you're serious about the opportunity, you are wanting to do it, and you have some basic knowledge. So you can try doing that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Do you have any follow-up question to it?
No, no, no.
Okay. We can also connect on LinkedIn. I would love to share some references with you that
Sure,
might
sure,
help you
ma'am.
with
Sure.
understanding. Sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Hardik. Akshay also mentioned an internship program. You can also check that out.
Right.
Yeah.
Akshay is
Awesome.
already helping Hardik, I can see. So that's the
Yes,
power of
yes.
networking, we can say.
Correct. Do connect with Akshay, and he'll help you out. Yes, Suman. We are so sorry. Yeah, you can ask your question.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Gunjan and Akshay, for your time. And my question is almost similar to Hardik. I mean, I possess one year, 6 months experience in non-IT field. Now I'm trying to switch into data analyst role, which I am trying to learn few skills as well.
Mhm.
So my question is, I mean, is it okay to, I mean, switch my career into this in the IT field as data analyst, and what are the future prospects to that in the data analyst career in the FANG companies, and do they take, I mean, entry-level jobs after this?
Right, they obviously hire people for entry level jobs. Every company hires for a hierarchy. So starting from the interns to the directors, every position is open in the market. There are times that they do not want to hire inexperienced people. They would want to hire a senior or maybe mid senior level people. But they always have opportunities that you can try. Maybe after a month, maybe after two. But they would always have openings for freshers as well. So fan companies do hire for the roles that you're talking about. Second, if you want to get into data analysis, I would recommend the companies that you're targeting, Suman, try to see the descriptions and try to see what they are requiring from you, and try to start with some personal projects. Because even if you are from a different field, if you can show that you're passionate about what you are trying to pursue, and if you can show that you are capable according to the company's descriptions, that okay, you possess certain skills and you're ready to hit the market or ready to start afresh, then it might be more prominent that you can be a good fit. Because if I receive your resume today, and if it only has experience about the previous work that you were doing, a transition would only help if you can show that you are interested into it and you are capable of doing it, so that will feel that will make the recruiter feel more confident about you. Because if your resume only has the experiences that you've done in the past, the AI which is helping the recruiter source would already reject you. So you will have to go through certain like courses, as Akshay also mentioned, and you can try doing some personal projects to showcase your skills. And once you have that, I'm very sure that the companies that you target will see the experience in you, and will try to at least have the first part and have the first conversation with you to understand about your transition or understand about your interests. So you should have something weighing on your resume that shows that you are capable for that particular position.
I totally agree with you, Gunjan. I mean, I can relate to this very well because मैंने जितने jobs switch किए हैं शायद if, and I have tried various fields from marketing to support to project management to something very technical, uh, and anybody who has questions regarding switching different careers, I would I would totally agree with you, Gunjan, and add to that is you need something to back you up. What value can you deliver to them in that particular aspect? Why would they even consider hiring you, and what value can you bring to the table, even if it is very not a huge, like तुमने कुछ 5 साल का experience है, something like that. You need to showcase that you are actually passionate and you're interested about something else apart from what you have been doing through your projects, through passion projects, through uh, you know skills that you have, or you have built something alongside. It can be anything, but can you should have something that showcases value for them, right? That's something that I would add. Yeah.
I agree with you, Akshay. And again, Suman, it is great that you are looking out, for a change after a year and a half into a different industry, because a lot of people think that this might not be very valuable, and it is scary after a point of time changing careers. But then it's really great that um, you are doing that. You're confident enough to do that. Just add a couple of skills on your resume that you have pursued. I'm very sure that you will be getting something, because it's a very demanding industry when it comes to data. And once you have certain skills in hand, I'm very sure that companies would love to have you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Gunjan. I have a follow-up question as well, if you don't
Sure.
mind. Yeah. So as you mentioned, we have to go through the job description. So I would like to ask, what are the key skills for a data analyst role that would require MNC companies like this? What are the key skills I should have so that I can approach, and what are the project I should do? In the course, if you can help
Uh,
me with that.
So, Suman, it depends on the companies that you're targeting, because a lot of people think that one resume can help you land with every organization out there, but that is not the thing. You'll have to customize your resume for every organization you hit, or maybe, every 2 to 5 organizations that you hit, because all the companies would not ask for the same thing. They have different projects, they have different requirements altogether. So, what I would personally suggest is the companies that you're trying to go for, the companies that are hiring, try to go to their company pages, read their descriptions, and try to see if you can match your resume to their descriptions, because that is the first step of moving ahead for any opportunity. You should be the right fit according to them. So the right fit is everything is mentioned in the job description. A lot of people underestimate the descriptions, but it has everything that you can require. So I can also help you with some research if you are wanting. We can connect again. I can help you with some research of how to find the key skills out of a JD, which is 2 pages, long. So how to find the right skills that are important. I would love to connect again, or I and Akshay can also have a combined session to help people understand how can you find the right keywords out of a very long, detailed description. So we can also try working around that.
Sure, sure. And I would
This is
love to
great.
connect with you and Akshay on that part. I also wanted to, as you said, Akshay also has experience in data analysis. So
Right.
I would love to have his
Awesome.
insight also.
Again, guys, I would not mind you connecting anywhere apart from here. Feel free to do that. Just make sure when you reach out to Gunjan, do not spam her. She might be a little slow to respond, but she will respond, trust me. So have patience, reach out in a right way. Do not spam your messages again. uh, so yeah,
We can also create a platform, Akshay, where we can only have people who are having queries, around certain topics, and we can have a WhatsApp or a Telegram group. I can see that you already have a group, but then we can have a place where we can have these people, and we can have these weekly sessions if you feel comfortable, so that we can help people on everyday basis track their progresses and help with updated suggestions, because these suggestions might help them today, but they might have problems arising once they are going through it. So if you don't mind, we can always have a
Of course, of
platform
course.
for people to respond, so we can also have the right time to respond to these people and not get very delayed with our schedules.
Absolutely, Gunjan. This is something, I mean, I have, as I said, I have a lot to discuss with you
Mhm.
after this. So
Okay.
yeah, we'll surely connect for sure. Awesome. Abhishek, Abrar, Jatin, you have any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi Akshay. Hi Gunjan.
Hi, Braj.
Yeah, I'm audible. Okay.
Hey, man.
Yes.
Yes,
Actually,
yes, you are.
yeah, I'm totally agree with your last input, Gunjan. Like, that's really help us updates of whatever are progressing and all. So my question is like, I'm a fresher having 6 months of internship experience in Colgate as a RP developer. I have also talked with Akshay in last session about that, but I also want your input about that also. So like I have tried to get the job like as a for the freshers, it is very difficult to get the job in RPA, robotic process automation. I hope you know it. So
Right.
I have done the internship in UiPath it is one of the framework of RPA UiPath Studio.
Mm-hmm.
So I have done the internship in it, and since 5 or 6 months I have been trying to get the job in the companies as a freshers, but I think it's so difficult for me. So I want your inputs about like how to upgrade my uh, search skills and all.
Mm-hmm. Right. So again, there are certain suggestions that we discussed in this call, Agar. I would like you to follow them. One, you can reach out to people on LinkedIn who have similar experience to you, maybe 1 years or 2 years, of experience in companies that you are targeting. Ask them how they got into it, take references, get referrals, to at least start with the hiring process. Because I really assure you that people out there are hiring for people who have 6 months of experience too. So there is a very huge demand for freshers and people who have internships. But the thing is that reaching out to the right person can get difficult, because these people, the recruiters, get a lot of messages on everyday basis. So my one go-to suggestion for everybody is taking referrals, connecting with people on the same level that you are on, and targeting people who are working in the companies that you are trying to be a part of, so that you can get the insights of how they got into it. Maybe there is some skill that you can add in your resume by talking to them, or maybe you can update your resume in a way that can be accepted. Because a lot of times what happens is the AI rejects your resume when you apply to certain companies, because the now the recruitment industry has also been completely techified. So there are times that your resume might not be apt enough to be accepted, but you are very skillful, so that can also be a problem. So we can, again, as I mentioned to Akshay, we can have a session where we can also have a discussion around how to make a resume better and more acceptable to the companies out there. We can have a session there. If you would feel like, you can also join, so that we can understand that if the problem is with the resume that we are building, or with the experience that we are holding. Because if you have the right resume, if you have the right skill set, there is a very high chance that you can easily network with people and get the opportunity. So we can try solving the problems on the base level, and then try to connect with people and help you get the right jobs. So we can try doing that if you are comfortable.
Yeah, that was the my next question. Like,
Mhm.
I want to get my resume reviewed by
Mhm.
you. I have also shared it with Akshay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
So let's do one thing,
apart from that,
Gunjan. Let's do one thing. I'm so sorry, Abrar.
yeah,
Just
it's,
give me a second before before it slips my mind. So let's do one thing, Gunjan. I have an idea. We can do weekly or bi-weekly, sessions
Right.
wherein we can choose one topic. Like,
Mhm.
let's say resume review session, right? That is something that we can, that can happen on a recurring basis,
Right.
because we'll have, once we announce we reviewed resumes, there will be tons of resumes. So that is something that we can always keep, but we can always choose one topic for every session, like
Mhm.
whatever is comfortable with you and my schedule. Once every 2 weeks or once every week or whatever feels comfortable, we can do these kind of sessions. We can choose one topic, how to get into, how to build a strong resume, how to
Mhm.
blah blah blah. We can think about topics, right? And
Sure.
we can host a sessions, and then we can see, yeah, just
Mhm.
like these
I agree
questions.
with you, and yes.
Yeah.
So there are so many problems and loopholes in the recruitment industry as of now, and plus there are so many topics that we do not have knowledge on, because when we study, we are taught the skills, but we are not taught how to give interviews, or maybe how to connect with the right people, how to build resumes, or how to transition. If we talk about Akshay, there are so many things that we are not taught when it comes to the degrees that we're achieving, the people skills, the
Correct.
skills that you require to get a job. They are not, they're similar to taxes. We're not taught them in the schools. So we have to, we can have these sessions to help everybody with some personalized answers as well, so that we can solve their problems for longer run. Because once you know how to build a resume, you build it for life. You can do it again and again, always be better at it. Once you know how to respond
Correct.
to the salary negotiations, you can always have hikes. So it is a problem that you solve in one go. Once you know the loophole, once you fill it, you are good to go. So I believe the sessions that Akshay you're talking about might help in building these answers for people.
Perfect. We'll do that for sure. Awesome. Let's take a few more questions, and then we will let Gunjan go. uh, Abhishek, Jatin, do you have any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Abhishek.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Abhishek.
My name is Akshay Gupta. I'm in the final year and currently pursuing my BTech in computer science only. After 4 to 5 months of my BTech will be completed. But I think that I am doing only Java, so doing some problem from DSA only. But when I giving the interview or I have applied for Telegram or the career site of any company, like I will know my CV is not shortlisted, and then I will be stay. I don't think that what is the needed in the CV. I have less project. Like I have not done any code on lead code or hacker run. I have only done only one project. So what are the key point that what are the skills I have to learn more, and I will do, और मुझे क्या प्रोजेक्ट करना चाहिए या लीड कोड में कोड करना चाहिए था.
Love that, Abhishek. I mean, just a second, Gunjan. It is not mandatory to ask questions in English, है ना? तुमको जो
Yeah,
language में
yeah.
comfortable लगे. This is a very casual setup, so we are not interviewing here anybody.
Exactly.
And I'm proud of anybody who speaks in Hindi. So feel free to do that. Yes, Gunjan, go ahead. I'm sorry.
तो अभिषेक, अगर आपको कोई भी कंपनी टारगेट करनी है, सबसे पहले आपको ये देखना है कि उस कंपनी को आपसे क्या चाहिए, बिकॉज एज आई से डिस्क्रिप्शन हैज एवरीथिंग. अगर आपको कोई भी कंपनी टारगेट करनी है, यू शुड नो कि उन्हें आपसे क्या चाहिए, बिकॉज अ जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटी इज नॉट something that they're doing to benefit you. It is a mutual transaction. So if you are able to give जो उन्हें चाहिए, and अगर आपको वो कंपनी में पोजीशन चाहिए, तो आपको वो स्किल्स होनी चाहिए जो वो कंपनी एक्सपेक्ट कर रही है आपसे, बिकॉज इन अ ट्रांजैक्शन यू हैव टू गिव इक्वल्स, राइट? तो आपको देखना पड़ेगा कि इफ अ कंपनी इज डिमांडिंग डीएसए, तो आपको डीएसए के क्वेश्चंस करना चाहिए. आई ऑल्सो हैड अ वर्ड विद समबडी इन द I guess the meeting. So you should build your resume. As a fresher, you have very less information to put in the resume. आपको जब resume आप मुझे अगर दिखाएंगे, तो if it has a 3/4 small page with very less information, तो मुझे लगेगा कि हाँ, ये person एक actual fresher है. But in the time of the era that we are living in, अगर आप अपनी स्किल्स बढ़ाना चाहते हो, तो इट इज नॉट जस्ट द जॉब दैट यू कैन ऑलवेज गो फॉर अदर थिंग्स. जैसे आप साइड बाय साइड इंटर्नशिप्स कर सकते हो, अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ कोई प्रोजेक्ट क्रिएट कर सकते हो, और डीएसए के लिए आप अपने लीड कोड, हैकर रैंक, हैकर पे अपने प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर सकते हो. तो आप अपनी कैपेबिलिटी सिर्फ जॉब एक्सपीरियंस से नहीं दिखा सकते. इन दिस टाइम पीपल आर फ्लेक्सिबल. अगर आप ये सारी चीजें अपने रेज्यूमे पे दिखाते हो तो आपको प्रेफरेंस ज्यादा मिलेगी. बट देन इट इज अ कॉन्स्टेंट वर्क. जैसे आई एज यू मेंशन आप लास्ट ईयर में हो, rather than giving your time to something very particularly, अपना टाइम आप डिवाइड कर सकते हो कि हाँ, if I have 8 hours to give, 2 hours I can do DSAs, 2 hours I can connect with people on LinkedIn. जैसे आपके नेटवर्किंग भी होती जाए साइड बाई साइड. जैसे 1 year, मतलब जो भी आपका लास्ट ईयर है जब भी खत्म हो रहा है, उसके बाद जब आप अप्लाई करो तो आपको फ्रेश प्रोफाइल क्रिएट ना करनी पड़े, या फिर फ्रेशली आपको लोगों को कनेक्ट ना करने पड़े. आपके पास ऑलरेडी नेटवर्क में लोग हों, तो आप चीजें डिवाइड कर सकते हो. यू डोंट हैव टू जस्ट गो फॉर डीएसए और जस्ट गो फॉर प्रोजेक्ट. आपको सब कुछ साइमल्टेनियसली करना पड़ेगा. तो यू कैन ऑलवेज मेक अ स्केड्यूल कि हाँ, 2 hours I would be giving to DSAs. The rest of the time I will be developing a project on your own. As Akshay, he's also an experienced candidate here. I mean, as a person here, so he also mentions that time management is critical for the tech people because the company demands a lot from you. But then it also returns because the careers are amazing when you go into the tech industry. So you always get the return. But then yes, investment is important. You have to invest your time correctly. You have to divide it, in a way where it is beneficial for you and is building your resume side by side. If you only do projects, it would not help you. If you only work on DSAs, it would not help you. You have to work on everything side by side.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anyone else has any questions? Jatin? Okay. Perfect. I guess we are done with questions. Thank you so much, Gunjan, for answering those. I just have a couple more from my side, and then we'll wrap this up. Right. So I'll just pick the best questions and the most curious ones that I have. One, harsh reality, I would say, about recruitment industry within India region that nobody talks about, and you would like to openly, bluntly put it forward. Yeah.
So this is very blunt and it should not come from me, especially. You will not always get responses from people, and you will have to accept it. Now I am also a recruiter, and when I used to approach people for jobs into recruitment, I did not get responses from everybody. तो ऐसा होता है कि a lot of times you get disheartened कि हाँ, मैंने अप्रोच किया 10 लोगों को और उन्हें मुझे रिस्पॉन्स नहीं दिया. तो हो सकता है मेरा रेज्यूमे इतना अच्छा नहीं है या फिर मेरी स्किल्स इतनी अच्छी नहीं है. But you should always know that there are a lot of times people would just not respond. There is no reason to it. So they might be busy, or they might not want to talk to people, or they might be whatever. There might be reasons. But then please do not be, don't be disappointed that I might be lacking somewhere. You are working on yourself and you're updating your skills. It's really great. But then never question yourself or basis a company's response or a person's response.
Correct.
Because a lot of times हो सकता है the company का budget नहीं हो आपको hire करने का. Their hiring might be on freeze. There are a lot of things that are going on their side too. So it is not always that you are not as skillful.
Awesome.
6 months exactly. Yes, Suman, that happens with a lot of people. There are so many qualified people who are working and who can get the opportunity, but you should not think low of yourself only because somebody did not respond to you. So yeah, I think that is one harsh truth.
Yes. Awesome. Perfect. Now to before we wrap up, something very important that I wanted to kind of try. Are you currently hiring? Are you personally currently hiring for any roles, like for Randstad or for Google? And would you like to verbally share what roles you are hiring for, and if people interested from this group or from the other audience that will probably watch this video can reach out to you regarding those roles?
So Akshay, I am hiring for the APAC region for Google. So I am not restricted to India as of now. I'm
Okay.
also hiring for. So my current project is wanting me to support for Singapore and the other locations. But for India, I am, and I'm still somewhere down supporting for software engineer roles. So anybody who has experience into backend engineering, has worked with a product company or has worked on a product from the scratch, knows the end to end for the for the development side. They know how to design and develop and test a product on their own. Somebody who has the same qualification can apply. So I personally am hiring for a level where we need experiences from ranging from 4 to 7 years. So anybody who has the same years of experience can reach out. As of now, as you know, the market hasn't been very hot, so we do not have a lot of positions handy. But then I
Yes.
believe with time we will have a lot of positions coming in. So anybody who is looking out for opportunities like this can be in touch with me, and I will try to post about these positions on my LinkedIn. And also, if Akshay plan to create a group where we can connect, I would
I
love
will.
to post these details with time to time, so that we all are updated about the positions coming in.
Awesome. What we can do, Gunjan, is I will add you as the admin of the WhatsApp group that we already have, and any interesting opportunity that you came across, you can post it on the WhatsApp group. I plan to add more job seekers, active job seekers on that WhatsApp group itself,
Sure.
so we can um, yeah, find more applicants there.
Sure.
Awesome, perfect. ठीक है. I guess that was it, Gunjan. That
Mhm.
was it. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing the opportunities. I we have a lot more plans with this thing. This is just the start, and um, I believe it was a good one. So
Right.
all thanks to you. Thanks for joining in, and thank you so much, everyone. I hope we answered your question. If you still have more questions, feel free to reach out to Gunjan. If you need any help, feel free to reach out to Gunjan. I'm sorry, but in a very relevant way. Don't spam. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Akshay. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. These questions also made me realize, of the problems that we all are facing. I would love to be help to anybody who reaches out. And thank you so much, Akshay, for having me. This has been very insightful and very interesting. I would love to collaborate with you and help people with, the problems that they're facing. So let's connect afterwards and see what we can do. And we'll keep you all posted if we have any more sessions around recruitment. And if we would love to have your insights, topics that you people are facing problems with. We can have some polls and understand, so that we can have some sessions around that as well.
Perfect. And me and Gunjan also had a discussion previously. I mean, before you guys joined in, on some of Gunjan's background. How can people get more value from it? That will be posted on YouTube. You can check that out. The only reason you were invited after some time is because you don't have to wait for your questions to get addressed. So that was the only reason. But yeah, you can still check out the video full session on YouTube. I'll share once it gets uploaded. So yeah,
Sure.
awesome. Thanks a lot, Gunjan. Thank you so much, everyone. I
Right.
will end this right now. So
Thank
yeah,
you so much. Bye.
have a great day. Bye.
Thanks,
Cheers.
thanks everybody. Have a nice day.